They didn't get a 4th and 1. Detroit, Houston's about to score again.
Welcome in, everybody. This is the Mind of a Coach. What?
It's so loud.
So, I mean, maybe, all right. I mean, okay. They can turn down the volume a little bit.
Okay, turn down the volume. All right, hit it again.
Welcome in, everybody. This is the Mind of a Coach podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Asa Duval. Got my good friend with me, Nathan Moran. And hey, we're finally here in person, man. We're finally here in person. It's been a long time coming, dude. I'm excited. This is fun.
Who knew we could do this with COVID?
I know.
We're making it happen. You got the antibodies, so we're all good to go.
We're good on that.
Good to go.
Yo, Thanksgiving week. Happy Thanksgiving to you and the fam.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, you got to spend some time with them.
Yeah, getting to spend some time. Everybody's in town, that's good.
Is a lot of family coming over, or are y'all like doing like some people aren't? Because our family was, making our own decisions, and some people were going and not.
My actually grandfather and grandmother, they came over this last night.
Yeah.
And so I had dinner with them, but they're being pretty cautious about it,
really?
Which they should be.
Yeah.
Down
a cat.
Yeah, it's just weird, man, because of age. It's just
my grandma was the same way.
It just hits people differently. And honestly, it's like doesn't even have to always do with age. I mean, Roger Eastrom, he got it. And,
he's back, right?
Yes, thank goodness, man. Thank goodness. He's doing a lot better, but I think he's still pretty nervous about it.
Recovering, trying to be cautious.
I just don't think it's an easy recovery when it comes to that, and just how sick he was. So shout out Roger Eastrom, shout out Coach Eastrom. Glad you're doing better. Love you.
Absolutely, yeah, man. Yeah.
But what's going positive right now? Hey, we got some stuff going on.
I'm not even
college basketball started.
College basketball that's positive.
Division I college basketball.
Division I. So that we had 50 games yesterday. So that was awesome to watch on TV. That's positive. I'm gonna go off course here a little bit.
So we're gonna give a weekly negativity. I can feel it.
I'm not even supposed to be here right now. I'm supposed to be in West Virginia. We were supposed to play Coppin State today at noon. Local time in West Virginia, and I'm here.
Local time in
West Virginia. So anyway, but got canceled, whatever. So first two games got canceled. We got, the scheduling it's a mess. It's all over the place. I don't know. My head is just completely blown right now.
Yeah.
I just want to play, dude. I just want to have games. I just want there to be competition in basketball.
And there was not even legitimacy.
Yeah.
To there not being a game.
Exactly. Right? I know.
It turned out that there was nothing. Everybody was fine.
Yeah. I don't want to give away too many details, but I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. When you're being led to believe that you're about to, it's such a letdown and so disheartening when you're getting prepared for a game. You got the scouting ready, the film ready, and then you're just being told that you can't play.
Yeah. And I think as hard as it is on you coaching staff and all the coaches in America right now, I feel so terrible for the players. I mean, you are literally putting your body through absolute hell right now in order to prepare yourself to play these games. And then all of a sudden you put into practice, you quarantine from the rest of the school, you do everything the right way. And then all of a sudden a false positive test. Yeah. And all of a sudden it's
I know, man. It's frustrating. And I feel bad. I do feel bad for the players because you're right. They put a lot of time and sweat in, and being told they were going to play and now they can't. It's just I feel bad for them. I can't imagine doing that. What would you have thought as a player, like in this situation? Because I've thought about that a lot. Like, how would I react, or what would my thoughts and feelings be? And
I mean, I think it's
because there's so much uncertainty. It's hard to prepare when there's not an exact, at least somewhat of a plan.
Yeah. And
being
like
a
Coach Smith. So Coach Smith at Lee, he's just been very adamant about, like, you don't know if we're gonna get shut down, when we're gonna get shut down, if we're gonna get to play a game, if we're not gonna get to play a game. So like every single day that we're in here, you have to make the most, because like someone could all of a sudden get a positive test and then you're shut down for 14 days.
Exactly.
So I think it's big for coaches to help players understand that, listen, you got to more now than ever. Like, we don't have the 2 months of preseason or all that time. Like, you have to make every single day in the gym count.
Yeah.
There's no bad days. Can't be.
Yeah. And it goes back to, I think I said it for last minute of advice on the first part. Control what you can control. I mean, just go in, do your job every single day, make the most of it, and control what you can control, and let the chips fall where they may, because that's really all you can do right now.
Yeah.
That's really all you can do, man. But I don't know. But hey, we got basketball. We're back. It's happening one way or another. So
yeah,
absolutely.
That's a weekly positivity. All right. Do you have a historical fact? Do you want me to
You got it.
I got the historical fact. All right. So the historical fact, and I think you guys might know this, and you might know this, Asa.
Yeah.
This is the latest college basketball has ever started.
yeah, at least since
Division One. Since over however long college basketball's been going, since it started becoming March Madness era.
Yeah.
This is the latest it started. So there you go. That's your little historical fact of the day.
Oh my gosh.
But
so when are y'all actually like when's y'all's first scheduled game right now?
December 12th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Right around the corner.
All right. Gotcha.
Yeah, right around the corner. We got West Florida.
Okay.
So we're gonna head down to Pensacola, and that's not too bad of a trip right there.
No, it's not at all. Nice.
Not for the first one. But it's I mean, the funny thing is like, all right, we're going. Like right now, it's like I'm preparing and I'm trying to get everything set for our team to go there. Mm-hmm. Like just like do the like little details of it, like trip, travel, etc. And at any moment, we could do the right things.
Yeah.
In West Florida, might have one person that tests positive. We can't play.
And then the rug gets swept out from under you, man.
It's like you're right. It's 1 out of 40 people, basically. 1 out of 50 people can get it. And we could do the right things. They could do the right things and still get shut down.
Yeah, that's the sad part about it, man.
That's the
sad part about it.
Who do you guys got after Coppin State?
We're supposed to have.
Are you guys going to reschedule them or
no?
Just
not them, because that was an MTE, so we're not going to reschedule them. Actually, the yesterday's game, Coppin State was supposed to play Marshall yesterday, and that game got canceled because COVID. I think Coppin State or somebody had one positive test, so it would have been a waste of a trip anyway if we even went up there. But, we were supposed to have Belmont on the 2nd and 8th, and I don't know if the 2nd's still going to happen, but I think the 8th is going to happen. It may change to the 5th or something, but
I got you.
Yeah, we got Belmont early this year, man.
Wow,
that'll be fun.
That'll be a good one. That'll be a good one.
Yeah.
But guys, I appreciate you guys. This is our first time to do in person. We're going to be doing this more often.
I hope so.
Hopefully, as break comes, maybe we'll get to do this a little bit more. But it's been fun. Hey, we're really excited to introduce our next guest. Ace is going to introduce him, and this is part 1 of a part 2 or two-part series.
Long interview, and we Coach King is our guest this week and next week. We wanted to get as much out of him as we could, so we got 2 parts of the interview. First one's going to be on this podcast, and then the second one will be on next week's podcast. So I hope y'all enjoy it. Hope y'all are looking forward to it. Coach King is an incredible man, an incredible coach. 30 years in Tennessee, one of the most legendary coaches in the state of Tennessee. And so hope y'all are excited and listen to and hear what he has to say.
Oh yeah, the Lipscomb shirt. Coach King, how are you doing?
Doing great, man. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, it's gonna be so much fun, man. All right, man. So we got legendary, my former high school coach, absolute legend in the state of Tennessee, Coach Dennis King. He coached for 28 years. You were at Brentwood for 32. You started at Slippery Rock, is that correct?
I did.
Okay, Slippery Rock in Brentwood. You made a state tournament starting in 2013, 2014 with an appearance in the state championship game in 2015. You retired after that. Almost 600 career wins, is that correct? And then did you coach at Gateway?
No.
Or you went there?
That's where I played there.
Okay, got you. All right, that's what I thought. So, man, with no further ado, Coach King, how the hell you doing, man? I haven't talked to you in so long.
No, man, I know. I think about you guys so much. I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm just every day's Groundhog Day with me, man.
Yeah. Well, so we'll get into basketball in a little bit. We got a lot to talk about with you. What's the day in the life of Coach King look like right now?
Like I said, man, it's I basically do the same thing every day. I get up late.
Yeah.
Go to bed late. Get a workout in. Do a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Some creative projects that I do.
I've
got 8 grandchildren. Just got back from Colorado, where my grandson was born. And on the way back, this is interesting. I think I'm driving through Indiana. And I see a sign on the interstate that says Hoosier Gym. And I'm like, it's the greatest film of all time, Hoosier.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm getting off. So I went back into a little 1950s time warp town.
Yeah.
I get there, and they made it into like a museum.
Okay. I think I heard that.
there's tours, and the guy just gave all kind of incredible, background on the film and what happened with the filming and all that kind of stuff. It was just, and I bought a shirt that says, "I'll make it."
Yeah.
What Jimmy Chitwood says at the end of the, at the last time out. So it was.
So you got to see the actual Hoosier Gym.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my gosh! I bet that was so cool.
It really was. It really was. Not. Have you seen the film?
Yeah, of course.
Nate, have you seen the film?
Oh, absolutely. My dad made our team when I was probably 7 years old. He was coaching us. When I was 7 years old, my dad bought the Hoosiers VHS for every single person on the team and said, "You have to go watch this tonight. It's not an option."
We watch it. It came out, I think, in '86.
Mm-hmm.
3-4 years, we would watch it because it would be a cycle of players had gone through. We would, after practice in the evening, they'd shower up, we'd order pizza, roll the big old TV out underneath the home basket, turn out all the lights, and watch it the night before the Franklin game. Mm-hmm. We didn't lose one time using that as motivation. So
that's amazing.
And it was always against Franklin?
Always against Franklin, yeah.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. That's so cool. All right, what's on your mind right now? What's going through your head? Like I said, we'll get to basketball. I mean, what's your thoughts on the world right now? Where are we at? How are you feeling about everything? Man. I mean, what's going on?
This is I lived through the Vietnam era.
Yeah.
Now, I think the country was more torn apart then than it is now.
Okay.
It was crazier than now.
Okay.
I know we'll get through all this stuff, and I think American institutions are strong enough that we're gonna get through it. But it's just crazy, man. How we are at each other's throats, and it's just so divided, man. But I don't know if we want to get. I know you guys don't get political. You talked about the election, and we're very careful not to show you.
Right.
Very unbiased.
Exactly. Hey, I want to ask you about the. You got that Ali thing? Can you see mine?
Would you talk?
Poster up behind you? Got one? Yeah, I've seen all your episodes, but I don't know if you're worthy of putting it up there, man. You have to answer questions for me.
You talking about the Muhammad Ali thing?
Yes.
I'm not. What?
I got to see if you're worthy. If you can answer these two questions, you're worthy.
Oh gosh! All right. Okay.
Now, we know it's Sonny Liston. Okay, we know it's Sonny Liston.
Yeah.
Who won? Was it the first or second fight?
It was the second fight. It was the rematch. Wasn't it the rematch?
Yes.
Yeah.
First question.
And it was about 27 seconds in, wasn't it?
It was a little over a minute.
Yeah.
But where was it held?
Oh.
I'm going to say this is where.
Look at the poster behind you. I'm sure it's on the poster.
No, it's not. Shoot, I don't. Was it? It was in Philly, wasn't it?
Nope.
Oh shoot! All right, I don't know.
It was in Lewiston, Maine. Lewiston, Maine.
No
way I would have gotten that.
I would bow down to you, man.
No way I would have gotten that.
I heard that the picture, I heard somebody, the photographer, he went, everybody, all the photographers were on one side, and he was like, nah, they're all over here, so I'm going to go around the other side, and that's how he got that picture. That's what I heard. I don't know if there's any truth to it, but it was kind of by accident.
Is that like what you heard about when you had Drew on, what you were asking about, who's the guy he played with?
Oh, Ron Mercer?
Ron Mercer and
Rick Pitino, man. He shot you down on that one.
No. That's true, because I'll tell you what, I finally figured out where I heard it. My dad heard Pitino speak at a Belmont event, and he said what happened was Pitino got on the flight and went to Oak Hill. I finally figured out. I meant to text Drew and tell him that. But what he did, he said, Ron, he said, you're not going to score. He said, not only you're not going to score, you're not going to be able to dunk when you play us. And then he said, when he said you're not going to be able to dunk, that's what got him. That's what he said. Oh man.
But I talked to I think it was mainly Vanderbilt wouldn't admit him.
Yeah, I did hear that too.
Coach Van Bredikoff told me that because that was a huge loss for him. He go to Vandy.
Yeah, I know he wanted to go. He wanted to go. Yeah, but yeah, that's interesting. Hey, Coach. So tell us about why you moved to Nashville.
It had to do with songwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you knew that, right?
I know. I want the listeners. I knew that. Yeah.
Well, in Pittsburgh, I dabbled with I wrote two novelty songs that got airplay on some huge stations up there.
Yeah.
And I didn't make a lot of money, but it just inflated my head, and I thought I was going to be Chris Christopherson. And so I came down. I wanted to move to Nashville or New York. I had a brother who lived in New York, and he was in television and stuff. And he says, "No, you do not want to come to New York." He kind of sensed I was not sophisticated enough. So I came down, and Brentwood High School was had just opened, and the head coach, Gerald Johnson, also coached. He was the head coach for football and baseball. He was the football, baseball, and plus he was a BGA grad, by the way.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I had to make a living if I wanted to stay here and do the stuff. So, and I had been out of coaching for 3 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I coached eight years at Slippery Rock, then taught 3, and messed around with that songwriting stuff.
Yeah.
To get to Nashville, I said, I'll do anything, man. I didn't intend to get back into coaching, but they hired me, and I'm telling you, it was getting back into the game and coaching those boys. The second year at Brentwood, Scott Corley was for that year, and it was like, you know what? This is who I really am, man. This is who I really am. This is what I grew up being, and I loved it. And then there was a difference in the South too. There was coaches just seemed to have, there was more of a, I don't know, respect or whatever it was, an atmosphere. But it just was a terrific year. We only won 7 games, but I was back in it, man. I booked again, and next year we won 16. Next year we won 22, and then Brentwood started to grow, and we just had such terrific kids that next 20 years.
Yeah. How old were you? How old were you when you started coaching at Brentwood?
I was 32 when I came down.
32.
Yeah.
What's it like to be at a place for 30 years? And all those kids coming through, the relationships you made. What is it like to be at a place for that long?
It's a dream, man. It really is. It just to develop those kind of relationships. And I'm gonna tell you something else. I loved the classroom. I loved being in the classroom, and I insisted to the principal that all my players, when they were in 10th grade, I want them in my classroom. I wanted them to see, I didn't want them to see the screaming maniac, crazy man. I wanted them to see someone who had, who taught critical thinking and was interested in themes that were important to humanity. It was just have a different side. See, when you came, I missed you because I was teaching all 10th graders. I had you in class.
What'd you say?
I would have loved to have had you in class.
Oh yeah. I don't know if you'd have loved to have me in class.
You'd be on ESPN
Coach King,
today.
Coach King. We can be honest on this podcast. We can be honest.
So speaking of teaching, you always claim that there is nobody more dictioned east of the Mississippi than you. You don't remember claiming that all the time?
That's not the right word. What did I say?
Dictioned. Yeah, you said dictioned. You said, I am the most dictioned person this side of the Mississippi.
Well, I didn't say that because that's using the word incorrectly.
What'd you say then?
The most extensive vocabulary this side of the.
You use dictioned.
Okay.
We're gonna have to have Brentwood alumni weigh in on this because Asa, I think I'm gonna have to agree with him on this one. I think he would know the proper vocabulary, and if
he would. Anyway, that's how I remember. I wanted to bring that up because you always bragged. I loved it. I thought it was so funny that you always claimed that there was nobody. I guess I can't say diction now because that's completely the wrong grammar. So
I have to think of what it actually was, man.
Oh man. Let's talk about. You said you were working out. You still boxing at all? You still got the bag?
Every day.
Every day?
That's my cardio every day, man.
So Nate, I know I've told you before. We would come in on Sunday nights. We'd have practice every Sunday at like 6:00. Coach King would be just going to town on this punching bag in the closet in the locker room, and you knew it was going to be a time every time he was in there, just wailing away at this punching bag.
I heard you say that on the first episode.
Yeah.
And you you said I was hitting the bag to a janky boombox. Janky boombox. That was state-of-the-art quadraphonic sound, man. And I could carry it. It was light enough I could carry it on my shoulder down the street.
Yeah.
No offense to call my boombox janky.
I'm sorry.
It's the times. Kids just feel privileged these days. That's all it is.
They do, man.
I know.
Especially those Brentwood kids.
Yeah, not BGA kids now. It's just the Brentwood High School kids.
Nate, I want to know, where did you live? What zone did you live in?
I lived pretty close to Franklin High School. I lived right behind BGA in that neighborhood, in that subdivision.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
Because you also talked about your first varsity game.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And I was there, man. I saw you. And I said,
wow.
If that kid lives in our district, man, I am going to be ticked off, man. I would go to a private school. Mm-hmm. But I'm glad to hear you were a Franklin.
Hey, the funny thing is, and I've told Asa this before, but if I had decided to go to a public school, it would have hands down, I would have figured out a way to make it to Brentwood because Jacob Adcock and like Andy and Jack Batista, like I loved playing with those guys. I love those guys. So
I heard you say, did you just play like an AAU team with him or what? How did you hook up with him? You mentioned Will Gross too.
Yeah, I actually played with Will Gross back in the Grassland League way back when, and I actually played for Rip Johnson, and Will Gross was on my team as well for this little travel league. But he also played on my AAU team going into my senior year. It was Will Gross, Jack, Andy played some tournaments with us, and Jacob. And I just loved playing with them so much that I was like, gosh, like I would love to play with these guys. And I also I knew of them beforehand, and we had played pickup some, and I just always enjoyed them. So that was like a place where I was like, if I was to go to school somewhere and play basketball and it wasn't at BGA, like it probably wouldn't have been another private school. It probably been at Brentwood. So
see, I consider
you didn't hurt that. You didn't hurt that either. Knowing that I could have played with for legendary Coach King. So
yeah, I always say that Brentwood High is a private school.
Yeah.
No tuition.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah. It's the same elite atmosphere, great teachers, just facilities. I mean, why anybody in Brentwood would go to a private school when you got it right there?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? What made you fall in love with basketball?
Wow. That's a great question. I mean, growing up, I played them all.
Yeah.
And when we went into, I'll tell you what it was. I had a great junior high coach.
Okay.
And I told him this a few years ago. I said that I can identify the exact moment that my life completely changed. And it was in seventh grade tryouts. And I'm dribbling a basketball. There are 6 lines. You come up and he's giving you directions which way to go. And I'm dribbling, and then you switch hands, and stationary, and then you come towards him, you come back, and the assistant coach leaned in and pointed at me.
Mm-hmm.
And the ninth grade coach just kind of like nodded his head. I made the team at that particular moment in time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting here talking to you guys because of that.
Really?
Really?
If I hadn't made that team, I'm a wrestler. So,
yeah.
I don't know how many people can go back and pinpoint the exact moment that the trajectory of their life was put into motion. And so, and then we had a ninth grade team that was, we had a terrific ninth grade team, and high school, and then I played college ball, and then I was I played at Shippensburg State College, which was a Division II school in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And when I graduated, once again, it was Vietnam. And so my draft number was high enough that I didn't get drafted. So
wow.
So I applied to a few schools around, where my parents had moved to, in Western Pennsylvania. And I got hired right out of college as the head varsity coach at Slippery Rock.
Okay.
Wow.
And I heard Coach Rose talking about this too, and it was interesting because he was too, right?
Yeah, he was a head coach at a small high school.
Right out of college.
Yeah,
right out of college. Right out of college.
Yeah. And he was also an English teacher, so I liked him.
Yeah.
But so I was hired, right out of college. I was, 3 months earlier, I was, in a losing locker room, playing my last game ever.
Yeah.
Now I'm a head basketball coach, thinking that I'm going to conquer the world. We won 2 games against the same team. Once in overtime, once on last second shot.
There you go. Hey, you won them.
You know how close it was to an 0 for 22?
Oh. Yeah. What made you want to coach?
Well, you just, like you two guys, I consider guys like us, even though I'm 50 years ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
As basketball samurais, man. We are just totally dedicated to the art of, we're consumed by the love of the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just it was the most beautiful and seamless transition from being a player to staying in the game and still having an outlet, to be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, it just was a natural evolution.
I was actually, before Asa said something, I was going to say something going back a couple seconds when you said you almost had an 0-22 season, but you had a game winner and you won an overtime.
Yeah.
Gosh, maybe you and Coach Rose are more similar than I thought, because Coach Rose last week talked about the story about his first game where he drew up a play, they won at the buzzer, and he said, "Get used to this feeling, guys," in the locker room, and then they immediately lost 12 in a row. So it's funny. It's just it's interesting because Coach Rose is so intelligent, knows the game of basketball like the back of his hand, and you do as well. And you guys both started off. It started off a little rough.
Oh man, it was. But even during that year, it was like I realized I had great kids. These were like rural. It was a little college town, but most of the kids were rural, and they just and I've heard you ask the question. I don't know who was to the former players, like whether it was Josh Bone or Penny, but what's the difference between playing and coaching? You guys are kind of finding this out yourself. It's basically, you still get that, you still have that adrenaline rush, because the fact that it's your vision, it's you're the chess, you're the chess master, and how they play is a reflection of your input. And it's a different kind of fulfillment than playing. Be honest, there's nothing like playing.
Yeah.
It's usually between the two, playing is the greater rush.
Yeah.
But coaching is real close, man.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
So you obviously you yearn for that feeling, that competitive spirit, that nature, that drive, just being involved in it day in and day out. That's really what you like, huh?
Oh yeah. It's just seeing the fruits of your work too. You know what I mean? Like it's just you and your personal evaluation of how you played, but and sharing the victories and the losses is this communal thing that just bonds you. Bonds you. It's primordial.
Yeah.
Where did your coaching style, philosophy, where did it come from? Who was it? I guess you mentioned your middle school coach. Was there somebody in your life that was influential? Where did it come about? Because you are a one of a kind coach, no doubt.
Number one was my the junior high coach I was telling you.
Yeah.
He was just a great motivator. He was a taskmaster, but just a tremendous man that cared. Bobby Knight was probably my first guy.
Really?
I could see that.
Yep.
That makes sense.
But I'll tell you what, I've turned on him, man. I have turned.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Why?
Explain.
As I got older, and I saw him speak at maybe 3 or 4 different clinics. I saw him one time, the old 16 millimeter film thing. He was showing some film.
Yeah.
Started to sputter, and he just took the thing and just like smashed it on the floor. And the way he absolutely changed the game with his defensive emphasis. Before, when I played in high school and stuff, there was not the help side and the stopping the penetration. Man to man, you just kind of stay with your man. And there was a concept. He revolutionized the game with that brutal man to man, and everybody in the country started copying it. But he just grew on me as I matured and had children and watched him, be just so boorish in his behavior. I just kind of threw my hands up and I'm gonna go to Don Meyer, man. Don Meyer is probably the biggest guru of my life.
Really?
Brentwood, and the first year we scrimmaged Franklin Road Academy, and there was a coach named Joe Gaskins. And he had either played or was a student coach under Don Meyer at Lipscomb. I had never heard, it was David Lipscomb back then.
Yeah.
He goes, man, you got to go up and see this guy. He's terrific. He's one of the best. And I never even, David Lipscomb College, well, when I went out and watched him play, and then I started going to his practices, and then I worked his camp for 8 years. And seriously, it would be like sitting under the tree with Buddha, man, listening to this guy who, completely revolutionized my own ideas about how to play the game.
Yeah.
The funny thing is I was about to ask you, was there a specific aha moment? You talked about in 7th grade when you had that moment of that changed your trajectory of what you were going to do with your life. And then you mentioned Don Meyer. I don't know if it's the same answer as one of those two, but is there an aha moment where you decided, okay, this might be something I need to change, or wow, this really helped me in my basketball career looking back, or basketball coaching career looking back on it?
You mean a specific change in my philosophy?
Yes. Was there just a moment where it was like you played this person, maybe you played another coach, like you were coaching against another team and you were like, wow, they did this really well. I'm going to start emphasizing this. Or you went to a clinic and you were like, I'm going to start emphasizing this. Or maybe I do not want to do this because one of the players did this, and it just changed maybe the trajectory of wins in your team or your culture, et cetera.
Yeah. There was several of those. If you're a sponge, if this is going to be your life, then then there's those kind of moments all along. You know, we're all thieves. We all. When I was at Slippery Rock, as I said, there was a college there, Division II college, which was, you know, like Shippensburg where I played, state, you know, originally a teacher's college, but they had a great coach as well. His name was Mel Hankinson. Okay. And that really opened my eyes to sit. I would watch his practices, the amount of detail that he broke down every, you know, defensive fundamental. It just wowed me. It was cutting edge. He was so far ahead of what I learned in college. And so I would study him, you know, every night when we weren't playing. And then when they had home games, I would sit behind the opposing coach, one row behind, and just have a notebook and just absorb as much as I could. So I would see the Slippery Rock coach in his practice every night, knew what they were doing, but those opposing coaches also, you know, shed enlightenment for me as well. Yeah. But once again, coming down to Nashville and having the opportunity to, you know, watch Coach Meyer and become a friend of Coach Meyer and watch his teams play and get to know those guys. Hey, there were demigods walking the campus before you guys even.
That's crazy. I never even thought about how when you got to Brentwood, you know, you had Don Meyer, you know, 10 minutes down the road. I mean, as soon as you were, I mean, that had to be, that's incredible. It couldn't have worked out any better.
No, it was just an unbelievable godsend, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have a question. So you talked about writing notes right behind your, like you were always writing down notes. You were trying to figure out, just learn and soak it all up like a sponge, like you mentioned. And so this is just something I'm curious in, and I'm sure there's others out there that are as well. When you're writing down these notes, how do you review these notes? How do you make sure that these notes stick in your brain, and how can you use them for the future? Are you reviewing them every week right after you write them down? Or are you just writing them down and putting them off to the side? Because I know I specifically have a problem is I'll write notes down and I'll be like, I'm going to go look back at them. And then they're just over there somewhere. And I still remember some of them because I wrote them down, but then I'll every now and then I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, wow, I need to look at this more, you know? So I just was curious.
You know, when I was at Shippensburg, the first day I was on campus, all the gyms were locked up for registration or whatever. Mm-hmm. So I dribbled out to the high school, figuring I'm going to break into some gym somewhere. And the high school basketball coach was a guy named Jim Dooley. And he saw me dribbling. And he was a brand new coach at that school, young guy, and he thought I was one of his players. So he came into the gym and we started talking, but we maintained a friendship for like all 4 years there. And he had this kind of marbled covered notebook. And like, not marble, I mean, it's the marble, you know what I mean, just the color of it. And he was showing me all of his notes and all the things he did. So the first year I coached, I got me one of those, exactly like Coach Dooley had. And I still have it. You know, and every once in a while I look at it when I clean out my file cabinet. Mm-hmm. But Nate, today, all the stuff I do is on my phone. Anything I want to remember, I just keep it on my phone. So I come across it a lot more. It's in my hand every day. Mm-hmm. So it's not some random notebook that's getting yellow in a drawer somewhere.
I gotcha.
Okay. You hate bounce passes. Explain your reasoning for the people out there.
Just bounce passes into the post. That's all. They're too slow.
Just into the post?
Yes, just into the post.
You didn't like them on backdoors either, though.
And backdoors.
Explain yourself.
I got to know this. I'm interested.
You were adamant. You were adamant about not making bounce passes.
Well, I must have picked it up somewhere. You know, Coach Meyer must have said it sometime.
Yeah.
That's funny because I know at Lipscomb, it was very adamant about you do not make a bounce pass to the middle. That was a big thing because that's where all the defense is. That's where all the help is.
Yeah.
That's where hands are. So it was always bounce pass. If you're feeding a post, it's got to be a bounce pass. And it's like the thumb over.
Yeah,
so not like
that's baseline. That's on the baseline, though.
On the baseline. So when you're feeding
on the baseline, you can throw it. But when you throw it, to the side or towards the middle, I just think it was too slow and got deflected too easily. And I think on backdoors, I think it gets deflected too easily. You can recover.
Yeah,
it was the craziest thing, man. I swear, I think I threw a bounce pass one day. And he lost his mind on me. I was like, "What? It's a bounce pass? What are you talking?" That's how I found out that Coach King hates bounce passes.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Oh man. That's
hey,
great.
There's another thing actually, Coach King. Hey, so I got one question. I'll get back to you.
Go ahead.
Coach King, in your book, you talked about how if a shooter is in a slump, you like them to spend 10 to 15 minutes with their left hand shooting or their opposite hand of normal or the normal shooting hand. So what was your reasoning for that? And do you have a specific example where that worked and it was like, you know what, I'm going to start telling this more often. And then it was kind of like, wow, there's some study to this. This works. So I'm going to keep doing it because I think that honestly, like I read it and I was like thinking about it. I was like, that probably would have helped me, honestly.
Yeah. Jalen Lawson I guess it was his senior year, maybe might have been his junior year, was in the worst. He had a terrific game against Brentwood Academy. We played them at Lipscomb. And he just tore them up. And we beat them by 28 points. And they won the state championship that year. And then the next night out, we lost to Independence. And Jalen I've never seen a kid play as bad as that. And for the next 2 weeks, he could not hit a shot. So I'm laying in bed one night, and I said, I'm just going to Google this, man. I'm just going to Google to see if there's anything about getting out of a shooting slump. And I came across that. And it was about 2 a.m, and I forwarded it to Jalen. I don't know if he ever read it, if he ever did it, but miraculously, Jalen became Jalen again, and maybe it would have happened with whatever. But it was just because kids always work their way out of it. But I thought like it might have a little bit of resetting the brain somehow if you're shooting with the opposite hand. And the other thing was right after that was that once in a while, just jumping out, get a little stronger jump on your jump shot. It gives you a nanosecond to make an adjustment where you just hang a little bit, just a tiny, like I said, nanosecond. Sometimes that helps correct a shot.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I mean, for one, this is a weird thing that I believe in is a lot of people think, okay, you're missing shots. You need to go up close to the goal and you need to work on your form and you need to do some form shooting. I'm a believer, get further away from the basket and it'll force your legs to get in your jump shot and it'll force everything upper body to tighten up. It's a weird philosophy, but it always worked for me. So like, I'm a big advocate on if you stretch farther, you're going to focus in on that. And then it gets easier the closer you get. I know it's weird, but
that's interesting.
It worked for me.
I can attest to that. I remember that now, mate. Now that you say that, I forgot. But you were that guy that was always stepping out further instead of getting in closer and doing that.
I'd be like, man, I'm not making shots. I better step farther back. And then all of a sudden I'm on the line and it's like, okay, it's easier to make it now.
Yeah.
It was weird.
That's interesting.
Coach, so the best backdoor play ever called Pat, Coach King had it. Best backdoor play ever. Where did you come up with that play? Or where'd you get it from?
I got it from a coach up here.
Up there?
Yeah. It was, he had just my best buddy played with me at Shippensburg.
Yeah.
And he was my assistant at Slippery Rock for about 3 or 4 years. And then became one of the best high school coaches ever in Pennsylvania. And he had a friend that was in the playoffs. But I called my buddy and I asked him about, or he told me about this play. He said, you need to talk to Albert about it. Talk to Albert. So I called Albert on a Saturday morning. He had just lost the biggest game of his career the night before. But my buddy doesn't tell me that.
Okay.
So I'm saying, hey, Albert, how's it going, man? And he just silence, man. He was just barely even talking. I'm like, anyway, I said, George said that you would describe this play for me, and he kind of, he kind of drew it up over the phone for me, but it was, and it became that was kind of in the infancy of its use. A lot of teams use it.
Yeah.
And I've seen probably you guys had a couple of those, didn't you? Because Rick Bird won 2 or 3 huge games with a misdirection and
he got us on one. He got that the Belmont special, that one where they act dead. He got us on one of those.
Yes.
And I remember that. I think that was my junior year he got it. And then all of a sudden someone put it on Twitter at the end of the year when they did it against no, the next year they did it against Washington. Or UCLA or somebody.
One of those.
UCLA. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they won on the backdoor. They won the OVC championship on a backdoor this year.
That was Coach Casey's Liberty call.
Yeah,
right.
He got it from Liberty. But no, the one against UCLA was funny because it was the year before they ran it against us. And Asa, I'm sitting over there like, gosh, how did they get wide open after a broken play? I still didn't, at the time I didn't even know it was a set play.
Brilliant, man.
I mean, that's how good it was. So
yeah, I'll tell you another story where we used that. And Asa, I think you might have been gone, but it was a Christmas tournament. We were playing East Nashville in the championship game.
Okay.
At Hickman County.
Okay.
You were gone, right?
Yeah, I was gone. I never played East.
So it came down. It's a tie game with, I think, 11 seconds.
Yeah.
And I said, look, guys, we can do one of 3 things. We can run 44D, which I don't know if you remember. I said, there's a lot of moving parts, man. A lot of, cross screens and down screens, 3 or 4 passes. And I said, or we can, go 1-4, put everybody on the bottom, let James McPherson do his magic. Or we can run Pat. Is that what you said? What we're talking about?
Yeah, Pat.
Which we had, and I said, but guys, we already used that earlier in the game. We already took off it.
Mm-hmm.
And McPherson goes, Coach, Pat will work. There's a different guy guarding me. Let's run it, man.
Yeah.
Hands it off. Shumpert goes over, jumps off, reverse pivots. He fakes out, go layup. We win the game. But letting your players, and that's something I learned. It took me a while to learn that players are so tuned in, have such a feel for the game. They're already out there. They know what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And give them a voice in your huddle.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this dictatorship, I speak and you do what I want you to do.
Yeah.
And even in, I've had players through the years. Montague was one, Stephen Klein was one, but they were just assistant coaches, man. They just they knew it, loved it, and breathed it.
When did that kind of change? Because I can imagine there was probably a time period where if somebody like James were to make a suggestion, you'd be like, "No, we're not doing that." I mean, how did that change for you, and when kind of did that change?
It changed. I can remember exactly. We're at Gallatin. It was probably early 90s.
Yeah.
We had a transfer from Lipscomb High.
Okay.
Now he played under Mike Roller. Some of you guys should have on too, man. I don't know if you know Mike Roller. You know that name?
I do not.
I don't. What's his last name?
Roller. Roller.
I have heard of Roller. I thought you said Low. Sorry.
No, Mike Roller.
I've heard of Roller.
He coached at Lipscomb High, and he was also an assistant for Don Meyer. He won like 5 state championships in Georgia, and he's one of the best coaches I've ever been around.
Yeah.
So this kid had gotten in some trouble at Lipscomb. He came to Brentwood, but he had to sit out for about 6 weeks or whatever. I don't know the story. So he's in his dress clothes. We're in a tight game, and there's a timeout, and the place is going crazy. I am in the huddle, acting a fool. I'm just like screaming at kids, slamming my clipboard down, going crazy. And this kid goes, "Coach, calm down." And I look at him like, yeah, I'm 40 years old. I'm a man. Whatever, you know. And it dawned on me, he was absolutely right. He was a little bit detached. He wasn't in my program.
Yeah.
He see me hitting the heavy back. And so it made me so aware of how our emotions affect us.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't have to be this stupid dictatorship. It can be, it can be a group thing, man. Can come to a group discussion on this. I mean, I'll give the final word on it, but what do you guys think?
Yeah. That's interesting because you kind of don't come off as that, as that kind of coach, to be honest,
No, I wasn't.
Yeah.
And it changed year to year,
Yeah.
That's the beauty of having been in it, for 35 years, that things change. Like I hear you guys talking, using these, I don't call them buzzwords or code words or whatever, but you guys use the word love so much. You guys use the word caring so much. You use the word serve. And that was not even remotely in the vocabulary of coaches. I played, when I started.
Yeah.
The whole paradigm has changed. And it changed like at West Point too. This is what really opened my eyes to it. It used to be that, when people came in as freshmen at West Point, that the upperclassmen just harassed them and harangued them and hazed them. And they wanted to, we did it when we were freshmen and we're going to see what you're made out of. And they changed the whole thing to one of being helpful and encouraging and helping them grow and all that kind of stuff. If it changed at West Point, to you that it's the right thing to do now.
Yeah. See, that's something that's always confused me, is the whole hazing thing, because I know it was, even when I was like coming into high school, it was a thing. And I was always so confused because I always believed, you should treat everybody the same, right? So it confused me that you would all of a sudden, like, I'm not going to haze someone when I'm a senior. So why would you haze me? Like, I didn't understand it. So it was just a different time back then.
Yeah.
10 years ago, honestly, or even now. Fraternities still do it.
Yeah. There was I get confused in my decades now, man. I don't know if the kid played for me in 2001 or 91.
Yeah.
So, but I come to practice and like all the sophomores have their heads shaved. Like, who sanctioned this, man? I got to look at these ugly freaking skinheads for like the next 2 months.
It was actually someone shaved Asa's hair and it hasn't grown back yet. That's what you're probably thinking about.
Do you think you would have ever gotten fired for anything that you did if you started today?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's such a quick answer.
I can't believe that I made it through. I really I cannot believe that I was in the classroom for 42 years too.
Yeah.
I came out the other end. Now I was suspended a few times.
Yeah, I heard that.
Really?
I heard about that.
And I still count the games that Boucher won on my win record, man.
You were suspended my junior year. You got suspended for a couple games, I think. You got kicked out of one game. You had to sit the next game.
Yeah. Oh. I was suspended 5 games to start the year. What year was it, man? Probably 1998 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was I got caught in the transition between where you could say anything let coaches do whatever they wanted. It was just, but there was a slow transition where that became intolerable, where they clamped down. They don't want coaches making a jerk out of themselves, being disrespectful, screaming and getting the crowd, putting the heat of the crowd on them and stuff. So I kind of got caught in that transition, and so it was a region semifinal game, win or lose, you go home, you're done. And I thought that we were getting behind. We're playing Maplewood, I think it was. And it was at McGavick. And it's the last ditch thing you can do is to get your team, have the coach get a tackle and get thrown out. And who knows? That was my last strategy, man. We got down about 17. This is all I got in my pocket, man. is to do something stupid. And so I got 2 technicals. No, I walked out on the floor and complained about a foul.
Yeah.
And then a female ref came running up behind and gave me another one for being on the floor.
Yeah.
So I got tossed, and it got back to our principal, and I'll tell you, he was really upset about it. I tried to explain it. It was just a strategy, man. That's all it was.
Yeah.
But he didn't want to look at it that way, and I had to calm down.
All right. Hey, Coach. So one thing is, okay, so you're talking about like the strategy behind that. And I think that's super interesting because, I mean, I actually may or may not have gotten a technical when I was coaching in like I was coaching like this 8th grade team. I was coaching it with my brother, and there was just this ref that was blatantly just calling some terrible calls. And listen, I understand that referees are humans just like coaches and players, and they're going to make mistakes. But make mistakes on both ends. You can't just keep making the same mistake over and over and over again and it only be on one side. Like it's just got to happen both ways, and I'd be okay with it. But so what is the most infuriating thing that happened to you when you were a coach from a referee?
I got a technical with Page. The ball, it was one of those plays where 2 guys were going after a loose ball and it popped into the stands. And he called it, I mean, it's right in front of me, and he called it, for the other team. And I just did like a ballet pirouette and just fell into the stands. I couldn't believe the call was that bad. Didn't say one word. Just did a ballet pirouette, collapse into the second bleacher. And I get a technical for that, man. How does he know that I wasn't like practicing, for a performance or a dance recital or something?
That's amazing. Hey. I actually got one technical, believe it or not, when I was a player my senior year. Well, I've gotten a couple, I'll be honest. But my senior year of high school, we were playing against Page as well. And we're at Page, and I mean, this is the craziest technical. We played Father Ryan my senior year. I got fouled. I looked at the ref. I said, you have to call that. I understand. You got to tee me up for that. It was showing him up. I understand. But against Page, I throw a pass in. It's an inbounds under. I throw a pass in, and he's swing. So it's to the corner. He swings back up top, and it's just a pin in for me, and I'm going to the corner, right? Mm-hmm. And I throw it in. I step in bound, or I didn't step all the way in bounds yet. And then he screens me in, and I run to the corner. Like, he releases the ball. I run to the corner. The ref calls a technical on me for being out of bounds. From running out of bounds. I mean, it was the craziest thing. I mean, we were up by like 30 at the time, so it wasn't a huge deal. Yeah, but it was just like, I have never experienced getting a technical for doing absolutely nothing. I mean, this ref was just like I got to do something here. And my brothers had him, so my brother did the WNSL, West Nashville League, and He's had him, and he's teed up like second graders.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know if he's still reffing. I don't know.
The one and only technical I ever got playing, I only got one. My whole playing career was the first day I played with Brentwood in the summer league at Tennessee State. That was the first technical I'd ever gotten while playing.
What'd you do?
What'd you do?
I hit a three. Well, I shot a three. I said knockdown, and I made it. And then I came down the next possession. I shot a three. I said knockdown, and I missed it. And the guy teed me up for it for saying knockdown.
What?
Oh, man.
I probably deserved it since I missed the shot, but and it was my first day playing for Coach King. I was like, "Oh, this is a great start. This is a great start."
A technical for saying knockdown. I think that's.
Yeah.
I mean, I just went to a game so I went to this little invitational at CPA this past weekend, and gosh, there were a lot of good games. However, I will say this: after every single made shot, Asa, there was a this. There was a this. There was this. I mean, I'm not talking like it happened every single shot. And I was just like, do they not expect to make it, or did they practice these celebrations? Like, I'm super confused over here. I understand it. You got excited. You might have made a celebration for one, but every single shot, if you're a good player, like, you can't do it for every single shot. That just gets old. You're not mellow.
Right. Yeah. I think there's way too much of that going on right now.
It'd be like Steph Curry doing a shimmy every single time he made a three. Like, he does it every now and then, but not every single time.
When Ron Slay was playing at Pearl, I scouted him at Hillsborough, and it was a crazy atmosphere, man. It was just a great atmosphere. So Slay steals the ball, comes down, and he crushes a dunk, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And he gets fouled on it as well. He goes and stands on the baseline, and the whole team, the four guys on the floor, come up, single foul, and salute him. And he just like looks out over their heads, like he was like this conquering general. It was like almost, I said, as old school as I am, that was pretty cool.
See, but it didn't happen every dunk. It didn't happen every dunk.
Huh?
It didn't happen every time. That's why it was so great.
Yeah.
This is how old school Coach King is. Coach King, he didn't have single digit numbers, and he only had even numbers for the game uniforms.
That's not my doing.
I know. I think that's kind of an old school thing. You literally, it was 10, 12, 14, 20, 20, 22, 24. I'll probably mess up my math, whatever.
Yeah.
Like counting right there, it looked bad. But yeah, I thought that was the weirdest thing when I got there. I wanted like number 5, but I didn't even have number 5.
Number 5, absolutely.
What's that thought process?
See, I didn't know other teams did it differently. It comes from the sporting goods store, man. The sporting goods guy just did it for me. Tate Matthews did it.
He just gave you some numbers and you went with it.
Yeah. As long as I had the right number of uniforms, man.
Yeah.
Talking to uniforms,